Hello and welcome to yet another exciting chapter of our global event. And as we all know that our stakeholders, beloved students, faculties, they all wait for this global event. And we do this event in association with Wheels Global Foundation. And the best part of today's session, not only the topic is very immersive, very much needed, at least at this hour for new generation people, the sustainability, water system sustainability. And as I mentioned, the best part of the today's show is the Wheels Global's Foundation, Mr. Ratan Agarwal. He has joined us today in the show, and we are going to have, I'm sure, that very insightful and enriching session with Ratan. But before we go to the session, as you all know, I mean, who are my regular viewers, they are aware of this, that there is I must say that a kind of a protocol we follow, that we let you know about NDLI, how it's began its journey, and what we have achieved so far, accomplished so far, and our future planning. So as you can see, the name suggests that National Digital Library of India. So the concept is one India and one library, and this library is 24 into 7, and this library is with you. So with the whole idea, this was initiated in 2015, and now we are 2026. So we have come a long way, and you can see now we consider this as a national knowledge set for the entire country, and that is our agenda, that we want to make it a better national asset for the countrymen, and then the young generation. And it's a single window platform providing learning resources that make e-learning, of course, digital learning, e-learning, and education accessible to all. So, I mean, it should go beyond any demographic or geographic boundaries. So that is also one of our mottos, that we have to cross all those boundaries. And we initiated as a pilot project in 2015, and officially we were launched in 15 June 2018, and successfully we have cleared phase 1, phase 2, and now phase 3 is running. And as you can see, in the phase 3, the best part is we are available in Android form, from Apple store. You can also download NDLI, so it is with you in your mobile for the entire day, 365 days and 24 into 7. Total content available 14 crore plus. That's a huge in terms of content availability. And nationally licensed contents, there are few contents which are available only in NDLI, because those were purchased by Ministry of Education, and such a number of content is 6.5 lakhs. And there are 450 plus providers who are providing contents with us, sharing their contents with us. User base, we have 1 crore plus content. We have set up almost 7,000 NDLI clubs, and that's a the huge number in terms of the institutional club. And content available in 39 Indian languages, and also content covering various subjects, all the disciplines, at all the educational levels. Currently provide cloud hosting facility to 31 institutions, that is we called IDR, Institutional Digital Repository. We are hosting the cloud for them, right? We are giving them the space. And we conduct engagement programs about NDL, NDLI Club, idea service through free workshop, training session, talks, and webinars. And more than 3,000 library professionals have been trained so far with this 33 idea workshops. And we have organized international workshop symposiums, and we have involved 300 plus institutions and also professionals across India and abroad. An NDLI Club, it's a service. You can call it as a service, as IDEA is a service. Similarly, NDLI Club is also a service through which institutions, higher institutions, school, everyone can perform different sorts of activity, which is very much aligned with NEP 2020. That is the recommendation of Ministry of Education, that we have to promote activity-oriented learning. And as you can see, as I mentioned, that it is very much recommended in NEP 2020. So this is the facility. Students can enhance their competency, sharpen their skill. They can be exposed to the huge resources available to NDL. And of course, the activity-oriented learning can be promoted, successfully promoted and done through this NDLI Club platform. So this is the states-wise statistics. Maharashtra is doing best in India as a state, and also the response from South India is overwhelming in terms of this digital education promotion and digital learning promotion in India. And so you can see the sessions we have hosted, awareness session, where we try to make people aware about NDLI and their service and NDLI Club. So 850 such sessions we have already hosted. Number of workshops we have done 80 plus, international workshops we have done 4, national workshops at national level 5 workshops we have done so far, and idea workshops, as I mentioned, 32 to 33, this should be the figure. So overall, what we are trying to achieve is we want to make this NDLI more popular. It should be your household name, household identity. That is our motto in 2026, that we want to make it more popular. And this is the awards and accolades we have gathered since our inception. And then very recently, we got this GEMS Digital Award, both in 2019 and 2024 also we received the GEMS Digital Award, and which is a very prestigious award. And our main motto that let's all grow together, let's learn, share and grow, and it can be viable and possible only through our, the promotion of digital education and also National Digital Library. So I'll not take much time. So because I know that you all are waiting for today's topic, because it's very interesting, water resource management. This is the main topic, but it has got other aspects. But before I begin with the rest of the session, let me introduce my speaker, Sujata, the very dearest and nearest one. And then every topic, every guest, this entire show is possible because she is with us, last almost 9 years. So Sujata, this is a very small bio sketch. She has achieved a lot in her life, but it is a very brief bio. MSc in Physics from IIT Kharagpur, post-graduation in Computer Science from Indian Statistical Institute, Kolkata, CQA from Quality Assurance Institute, USA, and spent most of her career in corporate IT sector, working with various private and multinational organizations till she finally retired from IBM as a general manager, and it's huge. After retirement, she has actively involved in various, IIT alumni activities. Such activities also Wills Global Foundation's activity. She plays a very pivotal role here in Indian chapter, Indian part. And also, she also, currently the president, as I mentioned, Wills Global Foundations of India's wing, and a board member, and she also served as a chief operating officer of NDLI, and that's also for a long period of time. And now she's the backbone of this entire show, and I would like to welcome Sujata Di in the show, and I would like to also hand over the show to you. Sujata Di, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Manali, for that very, very kind introduction. I really appreciate that. And I do also feel privileged to be introducing the speaker of our today's session, Mr. Ratan Agarwal. Ratan, to his credit, he has his MBA from the Wharton School and MTech in Structural Engineering from the Indian Institute of Technology, Bombay. He is the president of Wills Global Foundation and is a board member. And I have had the privilege of working with him over the last several years, and I have seen a strong leader in him and really passionate about Wills Global Foundation. I keep telling him that you work 24 hours a day and all devoted to Wills Global. So that's Ratan. He's also the co-founder and managing partner of Carbon Group Global, a sustainability-focused holding company that scales proven market-based solutions across education, women empowerment, resources, health, and economic development on a global scale. Ratan has held senior leadership roles at Cisco, Telcordia, and Etikani. He is actively engaged with incubators and and accelerators in New York City metro area, where he invests in and advises early stage companies across IoT, cloud SaaS, healthcare, and services sectors. So, welcome to this session, Ratan. And all of us, in fact, do look forward to listening to you and getting enriched over the next 1 hour or so in listening to you. Okay, so the topic for today is water resource management for generational sustainability. We all know that water is a very precious resource, and we are always working towards resource management of this resource. But today we are going one step further towards generational sustainability. Generational sustainability is about managing resources and ecosystems today so that future generations can meet their own needs, ensuring long term ecological, economic, and social vitality. It balances immediate consumption with long term survival so that current actions do not compromise the welfare of future generations. So, Ratan, coming to you, as you know, water availability in India, in fact, perhaps all across the world, we have seen the water declining over the years. Could you tell us a little about the gravity of the situation as you see it as a subject matter expert in the area?
Thank you, Sujata. And thank you, NDLI team, as well as NDLI audience, students and teachers. And greetings from here in New Jersey, USA. It's wonderful to be in the company of this amazing team. When I hear NDLI program being taken to 1 crore students, it's an unthinkable number. So what a job NDLI team has done. And I hope Wheels Global Foundation, as an institution of global IIT system, our 500,000 alumni community, as well as 23 IITs, Wheels Global as a social impact platform can play a big role in taking this platform to nearly 15 lakh schools. And I think we have in the 15 lakh schools nearly 22 crore students. So we have a huge opportunity, and this kind of resource would have a massive difference in our educational expertise, growing the tomorrow's citizens and growing the economy. So thank you again. So let me, I'm going to spend some time in this topic because as we all know, the water uses and the water stress has grown almost exponentially. We have had a lot of dialogue in the media, in the companies, in the individual circles on this topic. I'm going to take today a little bit of a perspective of next 50 years, next 100 years, and talk about the water conservation, water sustainability as a resource from a generational point of view. So we'll look at several aspects, but to answer, Sujata, your question first about consumption side of it. As you know, if you think about water, water is one of the 5 fundamental elements of life. In our scriptures, we talk about entire life system essentially made up of 5 elements: earth, water, fire, air, and space. So water is actually fundamental element of humanity, of life we know. So managing this water resource for our long-term survival is absolutely key. When you think about how this water resource consumption had changed over the last 50 years, let's take a perspective of 50 years because it allows us to see things in a bigger perspective. In India, about per capita water availability has gone down by 70%, more than 70%. It's a huge decline. And further, that decline is going to get more and more acute. The numbers today, we look at the per capita consumption, it has gone down from 5,177 cubic meter to 1545 by 2011. And by 2050, another nearly 25 years, it is supposed to go down further to 1191. That's a more than five-fold decrease. And that is what we have now done in terms of the choices we have made in the personal life, industrial growth, and overall management of the water as a resource. When we look at in India, the main consumption of water, if we look at the three main sectors, it's the agricultural sector which dominates the water consumption in India, nearly 80%. And then you have the household usage of 6%, and then rest in the industrial usage. So clearly, how we manage agricultural sector is a massive importance. If you think about the key drivers of this consumption, it's again, we can look at many things, but the three which has added together and exacerbated the problem. Number one, population growth. In India, our population has grown from nearly 620 million 50 years ago to now 1.45 billion. That's almost 2.5 times growth. And when we look at average consumption of water per household or per person, it's roughly about 1 to 2 liter. Typical human being is about 60% water. So if we have added 820 million more people in that 50 years time span, what we are really talking about, just the humanity in India is representing nearly 22.5 billion liters of water. That equates to more than 2,000 water bodies. If it consider average water body to be about 1 hectare in the surface area. Similarly, along with the humanity growth, we have corresponding growth in the animal system, domesticated animals. So again, you can do the same math in terms of how the water has been extracted from the underground, and now it has been converted into more humans, more animals, and then more industrial uses. The textile industry, the detergent industry, all the industry, many key industrial sectors, they are essentially converting that water into a variety of products or the stored water for their execution. So this is essentially one side of the story where this water is going after we extract it from the groundwater, right? Similarly, the other major factor behind the consumption is the income growth. The income growth, the best way to look at the income growth is if we look at the simplest water uses at a individual level. When I grew up in a small village in Rajasthan, the water usage would be typically, we would go to the well and draw out a bucket of water. That bucket would have about 10, 12 liters of water. And that is what pretty much we would consume in terms of the bathing, washing clothes, and then some water in the drinking. So about 10 to 15 liter per person per day. Fast forward, today in developed world like USA, we consume nearly 400 liters of water per day. Why? Because the showers are automated. The water tap is it's a very fast running water in the shower, in the kitchen sink, in the washroom. In India, we consume on average about 135 liters. So what does the income growth do? We have increased our water usage per person on average 10 times. So that is a huge, huge driver of the water consumption. You look at the industrialization as the society has shifted from agrarian economy to more and more industrialization. You have similar exponential growth in the water consumption. So this is the other three dimensions of where that water which we extract from the groundwater for usage has gone. And then we look at the other side of the water is the losses. More population growth, that means more coverage of the trees is reduced. Less tree coverage, less water retained from the rainfall, from the atmosphere. So again, we are exacerbating the problem by the growth in the humanity, the growth of the society in general. And then further, as over the last 60, 70 years in India alone, we have seen massive problems in our underground water bodies because of the neglect of the surface areas. We did a project, I will talk about it later, in Himachal Pradesh, where we worked with the government to tackle the severe water issue. Nearly 55% of underground springs have become severely depleted or completely depleted. Why? Because of the neglect of the catchment areas where the water simply flushes away and it does not go down the channels to recharge the water bodies. So that is another big contributor to the water stress in the country. And then the third factor, the global warming. The global warming, essentially, the way it is impacting is interesting. It's not that the total rainfall is changing. However, the intensity of the water events is changing. So we have now, because of the global warming extremes, we have in a short amount of time, excessive rainfall, creating lots of floods and a lot of severe erosion of the topsoil. And that water, when it comes in a very short amount of time, it does not go down. It simply flushes away through the rivers, through the rivulets, streams, and then finally to the ocean. So it doesn't help, it actually exacerbates the problem. And then further, it is followed by the long, lean periods of very limited or no waterfall. Both of these make a massive, massive impact, because what happens when you have extreme rainfall, it erodes the topsoil. I don't know how much of our audience knows, it takes about 500 to 1,000 years for an inch of topsoil to form in a natural process. So when you have heavy rainfall, that heavy rainfall, it erodes that topsoil very quickly. And the regeneration of that topsoil, if it takes 500 years minimum for 1 inch of topsoil, you can imagine the damage we are seeing from the extreme rainfall, heavy rainfall, intense rainfall. Further, then when it is followed by the lean periods, what it does, it bakes the ground. That baking of the ground, it further makes it easier for the rainfall to take all the topsoil away. So that vicious cycle of heavy rainfall followed by long lean periods, it actually acts on each other in a negative spiral to do the damage in terms of the water bodies or the surface water to go down or the water bodies to get enough recharge in time. So this is these are the multiple factors which are coming together in terms of population growth, industrialization, income growth, the neglect of the water bodies, and the reduced tree cover, further magnified by the global warming, creating a massive issue in terms of the water availability and the water stress. Back to you, Sujata.
Okay, so Ratan, the picture that you painted is we are really moving into a very disastrous situation. Maybe some of it created by us, and some maybe from the climate change and global warming and all that. Now, how do you think we can secure this most precious resource in the future? Like what could be maybe some day-to-day activities that we could do, as well as some long-term actions we can take for water conservation?
True. So let me talk about the water conservation and management to reverse all the gloomy picture which probably came out from the numbers I shared. I'm going to just use one picture to show the state of our typical water body. This is the actual picture from our recent project in area called EDA, Yamuna Expressway Industrial Development Authority managed geographical area near Noida in the National Capital Region. These are the water bodies which we worked with the government in public-private partnership to address in the 27 rural communities in the EDA area. When I said water bodies being neglected, this is how many of the water bodies look today. In India, we used to have in every village 3, 4, 5 water bodies, which used to capture the rainwater and have it available for all the uses, whether residential uses, agricultural uses, throughout the course of the year. But over time, many of these water bodies have simply disappeared, or they have been converted into, they have become this type of foul place in terms of water, and then water mixed with all types of garbage coming out of the households or other sources. So if we want to talk about water conservation and management, this is the place we must start. We have to translate these water bodies into healthy water bodies. And this is a process which actually, this is how it starts. We locate water body. Many times these water bodies are barely visible. So we use the satellite data, and then we use work with the community, and then transition that partial water body, partially visible or unusable, to a healthy water body. So water conservation and management has to be huge part of our generational sustainability. So we have to look at the conservation and management across all the three sectors: residential, industrial, and agricultural. In residential, there are lots of actions we can take, and hopefully in few minutes we'll talk about some of the specific practices and technologies. But the few I would highlight in the residential, one of the easiest one for everybody to do is the rainwater harvesting. Rainwater harvesting actually doesn't take that much. I was in my recent India trip, I visited many rural and tribal communities we work with in Maharashtra area, in Palghar district, in Nashik district. What I saw in Palghar, in the tribal community, just with the investment of only 12,000 rupees, entire household is capturing the rooftop water. And then just with the 5 households, they're able to collect enough water for their entire water need to be taken care of for the course of the year. So the rooftop rainwater harvesting has to be must. We have seen a lot of best practices in Tamil Nadu, where we have had Chennai city, Madras, what we had been renamed the Chennai city has gone through tremendous water stress. But there are many apartment communities which have now converted themselves into be totally net water zero by harvesting their water. So rainwater harvesting in the residential areas has a huge opportunity. Similarly, then how we consume the water, I talked about how our water consumption has gone 15-fold. There is a way to manage that. There are systems available, simple gadgets, which allows the water tap and the shower head to reduce the speed of the water discharge. If we were able to use only 15 liters bucket to take bath, we don't need now 200 liters of water to take shower. We can reduce that. Similarly, same thing in the washrooms. We are seeing now tremendous application of sensors, use of the non-water flushing in the urinals. So that presents a huge opportunity to further conserve the water. And then personal conservation practices. There are lots of things we can do at individual level to further reduce our water usage. In fact, one of the easiest thing I would encourage all of our readers to do is have a goal of becoming individually net water zero. In terms of the amount of water we consume, taking actions to give that water back, planting the trees is the easiest one. Now coming back to the water recycling. So this is another huge opportunity, both at the industrial level or the building complex level. I mentioned in Chennai, many apartment complexes have become now completely net water zero. Not only they are capturing the water from the rooftop, but they are also recycling the complete water they're consuming. Because at the end of the day, in our course of life, whether we live for 70 years or 80 years, we are not changing. All we are doing is consuming the water and discharging the water. So if we can completely recycle that water, then we are coming very close to net water zero. So building complexes, residential building complexes or industrial complexes, more they can recycle, more we are achieving that generational sustainability. So that recycling has to be a major part of our decisions, our own processes, our own choices. And then finally, the agriculture. We talked about that agriculture is nearly 80% of water uses in terms of sectoral uses. So this is where we have lots of now best practices available. Drip irrigation has made a huge difference. Rather than having saturated fields, drip irrigation targets the water in the just the right amount at the right time of the day for the right, depending on the type of agriculture, as opposed to simply saturating the field with the water. So that is a huge improvement. Then there are ways we can use the nature's self-control. Nature actually, if we use the nature's own mechanism to draw the enough water when it needs, rather than simply pumping the water, that can be another best practice. And I will have a picture to show later on. Then from the shift from the water-hungry crops to the crops which take much less water, sugarcane, rice, they are all very water-hungry crops. And if we can shift our crop mix, that makes a huge difference. Then use of the sensors. We know if we can tailor the water, irrigate the water to the plants based on the weather, based on the soil property, and then based on the time of the day, simply the use of the water aligned with these three parameters have shown reduction as much as 30-40%. And not just in the water, but the reduction in use of fertilizer and the chemicals. So, and then also yield increase. So the use of the sensors allows us to reduce the water, reduce the use of fertilizer, and then increase the yield. So this is another major opportunity. And then other thing in the agriculture space is the greenhouses. So greenhouse covering that area of a farm, it allows the evaporation to be reduced. All that evaporation from extreme heat in many parts of the country, particularly in a state like Rajasthan, in the summer the temperatures go up to 40 degrees, 45 degrees, 48 degrees. You can imagine the evaporation happening because of that extreme water or heat. So these greenhouses are means to actually, if not eliminate, reduce that in a major way and recapture that moisture. So this is another major shift which has changed how much water we need for agriculture. as well as reduce the need for chemicals, because in the greenhouses, you are able to control the pest growth. So that is another big advantage. And then further optimization of the yield. So those are the other things. And now latest with the AI technology, there's a further opportunity for us to optimize in terms of the usage of the water, usage of the fertilizer, usage of the pesticide, because you are able to take a lot more information into account in terms of the weather pattern, in terms of the particular soil texture and soil type, as well as advising the optimal combination of the crop rotation. So AI technology further promises tremendous optimization. So these are some of the things which would allow us to conserve and manage the water resource in a much more intelligent and responsible way.
Okay, so looks like the picture is really not that bleak as we thought. There are ways to improve this. Some of these could be at a personal level. We can always practice those in our households, and some at a bigger level. Now, looking at today's era, could you shed some light on the technology driven solutions and market based models that have been designed to scale water sustainability across global communities?
Sure. So I think so. As I was describing the conservation and management, I was alluding to application of technology, role of technology from simple things, sensors to rapidly rapid advance of the AI application across everything in life. I'll give you a number of examples of the technology application and technology enabled solutions where wheels has been engaged from our activity itself. As you know, wheels, the acronym for our foundation name is essentially an acronym for the 6 areas: W for water, H for health, E for education, energy, livelihood, and sustainability. So water is one of our priorities, and through our partner ecosystem of nearly 150 partners across the country, across India, we work with many partners and have identified nearly dozen technology-enabled innovations, solutions to conserve the water, to improve our ability to manage this water resource. So I'm going to talk about a few of them. Hopefully, it will give our audience a spectrum of different technology-driven options available. I talked about agricultural sector and how agricultural sector is consuming 80% water today. So how we recharge these water bodies, which a typical farmer depends upon. Bore wells in India, as the water table has gone down, water used to be available easily at 15 feet, 20 feet level below the surface. Fast forward, that usage has taken the water table down dramatically. Nowadays, for a farmer to have available water consistently, they need to dig bore wells. And these bore wells sometimes go down 200 feet, 300 feet, as much as 1500 feet to be able to tap water and have reliable supply. So these bore wells, as the water table has continued to go down, they have to be recharged. Recharging of bore wells mean recharging of the watershed area where the water is captured. So this is where again a huge opportunity for us to apply the technology to do it in a much more optimal way. We have been working with the number of partners. We have chosen one technology called board charger, very exciting technology. I'm just going to share actual diagram. So this board charger allows farmers to get consistent supply and recharge their bore wells at 1/3 of the cost and 1/3 of the time. Again, wonderful technology to enable farmers to have a consistent supply, at the same time recharge these bore wells without having to dig pond. Typically, these water bodies have been recharged using the pond harvesting approach, which we support in many areas because this is the more suitable in some areas. So combination of water pond harvesting as well as the bore recharging is one of the technologies we are seeing tremendous promise because of its speed as well as the cost advantages. Similarly, another technology.
Ratan, sorry to interrupt. Can I take about 30 seconds for a message for the
Sure.
audience? The audience, once we are done with this session, you can ask questions directly to Ratan. So in the meantime, please put your questions in the chat box, and we will take them up after his session. So okay, over to you, Ratan.
Thank you. I hope we get a lot of questions because that makes it a lot more interactive and fun.
Interesting.
So from the recharging of bore wells, which are essentially lifeline of our farming community, to let's talk about the restoration of water bodies. So when we have restoration of water bodies, we have to use the technology across all the key water bodies. The most prevalent across the countries are these what we call ponds or small water bodies. Typical village used to have 4 to 5 water bodies or these watershed areas. So this is again where we are working with several technologies, leveraging first the satellite data to locate exact location GPS coordinates of these water bodies, because often these water bodies have almost disappeared. You go to a village, you may not be able to find even a single water body now because of people using that water body for now residential purposes or agricultural purposes. So satellite data is a big help. And in fact, Government of India has undertaken a project to map all the water bodies, subsurface and surface and underground. So the satellite data usage has allowed now us to identify the most water stressed areas in the country and then prioritize focus on the water bodies which has to be first in the first group of restoration, and then use the satellite data to pinpoint and then engage the community to be part of the solution. So that way when a particular water body is desilted, that silt has a huge value as an organic fertilizer. So by engaging the community and converting that water body, the silt itself, for fertilizer, it creates a good positive cycle to restore that water body. So that is the one area. Similarly, we are undertaking now restoration work in the rivers with one of the largest corporate CSR partner, and then 2 partners with expertise in the river restoration, Art of Living Foundation, as well as IIT-IT.org. We are going to be undertaking river restoration in 5 of the largest rivers in the country. And there again, we will be applying multiple technologies in the rivers. There are multiple choices. Restoration of the watershed which feeds into the river. There, the use of the gabion structures, the desilting, the recharge wells, the recharge shafts, injection wells. These are some of the common technologies available depending on the terrain, depending on the nature of the water bank, and the width and length of the area to be restored. So some of those combinations are used. Then similarly, lakes, a lot of lakes have the storage capacity have been reduced dramatically because of growth in the plants like water hyacinth. So converting that water hyacinth into actual energy form is another technology application. So that way, not only you are restoring the capacity of the lake to have more water, but also converting that plant, eliminating that plant and converting that into energy form. We are using several technologies to convert the bio waste and agricultural waste into energy form. So that is another application in terms of the technology. Then in terms of many areas in the country, they are arid in terms of the rainfall is fairly minimal. So in those areas, there is a technology to convert now the water moisture and capture that water moisture into affordable and quality drinking water. One of the partners we are working with, Meghdoot. Meghdoot has done a very good job of building very low cost and requiring not too much space, and convert that water moisture into drinking water. This is the actual picture from the Meghalaya state where we are looking at few pilots. Then another area which where we have simple technology I would like to mention is hand pumps. So as you know, in the big part of rural India and even in the urban areas, hand pumps are used to get the water for the drinking purpose. And as the population growth, typically these hand pumps start seeing the bacterial contamination as a common problem. We have picked up a technology called Taraltech, which converts that hand pump into lifetime safe drinking water free of bacteria with a very simple device which fits on the top of the hand pump, costing only about 8,000 rupees. Wonderful innovation by one of our member of the water partner ecosystem. So this is another wonderful technology which creates such a efficient availability of safe drinking water. Coming back, some other technologies I would like to mention, barter water. As we know, in the northern India, at least 10 of the northern states, West Bengal, Assam, Jharkhand, Bihar, Uttarakhand, Punjab, they have a very pervasive problem of arsenic contamination. As the water table goes down, now we are seeing many of these toxicants like arsenic coming in the water table or in the drinking water supply. Arsenic is a very, very severe carcinogenic element. So moment you have arsenic in the water, you are going to see massive growth in the cancers. So we are now we have picked up a technology from IIT Kharagpur to use the laterite bonding to deal with that arsenic, and not only provide the safe drinking water by treating for the arsenic and heavy metals, but also do it in a model which engages the community for the community transformation. So this is a wonderful model, another technology. Similarly, other things I will call out in terms of the technology, the reforestation has to be another big portion, big part of the strategy. And some of you may have heard this concept of green wall. The green wall is becoming huge initiative across the continent of Africa. So as we have heard that many media, a lot of media coverage about the Sahara Desert, one of the biggest desert area in terms of covering the half of the continent. And now there is a effort to create the green wall to prevent scale of desertification, because without this kind of initiative, the continent will continue to be having larger and larger desert coverage. So this is another area which is application of massive technology in terms of the drones, in terms of the watering and plant choices. So this is another very exciting intervention. A couple of other things, simple things in terms of simply metering and pricing. We have to recognize that water is a precious resource. We cannot treat it as a free resource. So to the extent we can have metering and then some economic value to that water, it will help our conservation and management. So this is another area of technology application. And then desalination. Desalination technologies have come a long way. 15-20 years ago, it was simply economically not viable. However, in the desalination now, tremendous technology advancement, particularly use of renewable energy as the energy source to make it now economically viable. So seawater reverse osmosis with the use of the renewable energy and further modification of the overall process using the membranes, using the electrothermal distillation So combination of 4-5 technologies to make desalination as a economically viable model has come a long way. Many countries are now deploying the desalination at a very large scale, particularly Israel and Saudi Arabia and some of the Gulf countries have built huge models. And this will have a huge application in India also, given the coastal areas as well as some of the arid areas like Rajasthan. So these are some of the technology advancements, technology application. The last thing I would leave it really two things. At the end of the day, technology is a tool, but we have to take responsibility at the personal level. And we have to develop respect for the nature, respect for the water, and not simply throw it away. That has to become part of our DNA. And more personal responsibility we can take, more we can achieve that generational sustainability of this water precious resource. And WASE is looking at some simple tools so the individuals can see what is their water footprint and how they can achieve net water zero at a personal level. If we can do that across the entire population, I can guarantee we will not have a water issue for the next 100 years, 200 years. So with that, I would pause and would be happy to take questions from the audience.
Okay, so before we go to the question answer, Ratan, so as we see, so generational sustainability would require us to shift from some short-term political cycles to a long-term perspective to preserve our planet's integrity for centuries. And that should be the goal for each of us today. In your own words, personal responsibility for net water zero. That should be our aim. So thank you very much for that very enlightening and eye-opening session, Ratan. That was truly marvelous. And I'm sure the audience will also have a lot to take away from this. Thank you once again. I would now like to hand over to Manali to handle the question answer session.
Thank you, Ratan, for this wonderful session. And it has huge impact, and especially
Manali, you are mute.
Can you hear me?
I can hear her.
Ratan? Oh, I'm not able to hear. No.
Do you think the audience can hear her? Oh, but Ratan needs to hear anyway.
Yeah. Maybe Sujata, you may have to repeat the question.
Okay. So I will I'll read out the questions that are in the chat box.
Yes.
So there's a question from Manirul Haq. What are the effective methods to manage water consumption?
So Manirul, very good question. Very good question. And when the methods to manage the water consumption, I think you are rightly pointing to individual level. And I will reiterate some of the numbers I shared at personal level. In my own life, from using 15 liters about a day, I live in US now, and I am part of that population which is consuming 400 liters a day. So at the personal level, we need to take many decisions. We must use the devices available to reduce the speed of the water in our shower, reduce the speed of the water which comes out of the tap, because the water comes out at such a speed, within few minutes, you have consumed several gallons.
Yes.
So that is, I think, one of the easiest decisions we can make. And then making sure in our houses, the water is not getting wasted. A lot of leakage in our own household piping systems. So preventing that leakage, in fact, in the city level, many of the cities have as much as 60-70% of water wasted through the leakage in the water lines. So the leakage prevention is huge. And now the technology have advanced to pinpoint where that leakage is happening, whether in the main or whether it's a distribution or whether it's a last mile. But in the household itself, we can prevent that leakage a lot. So thirdly, in the household level, we need to make sure we are having the safe drinking water, because otherwise you will have severe issues both in terms of the throwing that water away and replacing that with the water bottles. A lot of people, because they don't trust the quality of the water available in the house from the water supply, they are shifting to usage of the packaged water in terms of the water bottles. And the problems it creates, you can imagine easily, in terms of the plastics, in terms of the water which has gone through a lot of packaging and industrial process which consumes the energy. So at household level, we can use some of the simpler practices. There are very good sand filters available, which cost only about I think equivalent of $20-$25. Very, very affordable. Long 3, 4, 5 years of lifespan. No plastic components. So simple choices will make a huge difference in having a safe drinking water at your house level. And then finally, let's take responsibility. As I said, individually become net water zero by planting trees. We can all plant a tree every year. And I think that will go a long way towards becoming personally net water zero. We can take responsibility for the community gardens to be maintained around us. Many areas in the urban and semi-urban living, there are parks, there are gardens available, but they are poorly maintained. Let's come together and make sure those gardens have proper tree cover, healthy tree cover. So there are a lot of things we can do individually.
Sure. Yeah, thank you for that, Ratan. There's a question from Mahata Pradeep Mahato, that means, can rising water consumption worsen global warming?
So global warming has many causes. We have talked about greenhouse gases being one of the biggest contributor. The greenhouse gases are changing the complete atmospheric pattern in terms of how our the cycle from evaporation to these weather patterns, to the monsoons, how the rainfall comes. So the rising water consumption, it does contribute to the global warming, because we are water consumption indirectly. It is also part of how we are treating the whole environment. Water is part of that environmental practices actually. So it is not as direct, but it has indirect effect in terms of contributing to the greenhouse gases. And for example, I mentioned about the packaged water. Packaged water, the water bottles, it's an industrial process. We are consuming a lot of energy. A lot of that energy essentially, so in one form or other, it equates to the greenhouse gases. And those greenhouse gases are changing the complete climate, environment, and creating very unpredictable rainfall patterns. Rainfall shifting, the areas which never used to have rainfall having floods. Areas which used to have very more than standard rainfall are now seeing the long lean periods. So that is essentially that water consumption does have a linkage on to the global warming, and how we consume the water, the type of water we consume, or they all have the linkage to global warming.
Okay, thank you. I think for the benefit of time, we'll take the last question now. Here's a question from Abunti Mitra. What are the advantages of using boat chargers in Indian cities and villages?
True. So the board charger technology, particularly I mentioned, it's a technology for helping recharge bore wells. These bore wells are essentially lifeblood today of our farming landscape. Our Indian farmers, they rely on bore well water for their reliable and sustainable water supply. So it's not really applicable. The comment of the board charger technology is primarily applicable to the rural India, and the main advantages are number one. Typically, these to recharge these bore wells, farmers used to dig a pond, so that pond will capture the water from the surrounding area, and then that water will be diverted to the bore well. That has been the standard practice. In the bore charger technology, you don't need to dig pond. What it does, it creates an opening in the top one-third inner surface of the bore well using the digital camera and mapping of the surface. And those openings at the right points, they then draw the water in from the ground. And it essentially using the ground's capacity to store the water after the rainfall. That water through those openings is brought into the bore well, and so that approach to use the nature's storage capacity and then drawing that water into the bore well, it allows to complete the recharging process at one-third the cost and one-third of the time. Typically, the pond-based harvesting takes about 2 days, and it requires material like rocks and pebbles besides digging the pond. In borewell recharge, bore charger approach, you don't have to dig the pond, you don't need those material, you don't need that much labor. So the cost is one-third, time is one-third, and then further you don't have to dig the pond or take the precious land away from raising the crops for the water capture. So those are some huge advantage of this technology. So that's why we are very excited about using this technology for the bore well recharging in the villages. And we have nearly 50 million bore wells today. So it's a huge, huge opportunity.
Thank you, Ratan. That was really. And if there are any more questions from the audience, feel free to send them to Manali, and then and our speaker will be happy to answer them through her. With this, now back to you, Manali.
Thank you so much, Ratan, for all these wonderfully, described answers, and they were very enriching and also insightful, I must say. And then the last thing you said, that our respect for water and nature, that is very important, just to save our water resource. Time is very short, but before we end, I just would like to request Sujata Di if she just tells our audience about the activities of Wheels Global Foundation and what sort of works they are doing.
Okay. So as you all know, this webinar of today is organized by NDLI in cooperation with Wheels Global Foundation. Wheels Global Foundation is actually a not-for-profit organization that has been created by the alumni of all the Indian Institutes of Technology. In fact, it all happened when our earlier former president, late Abdul Kalam, when he, in a Pan IIT meet in 2006, he was there and he said that all you IITians, you have done so well for yourself. So now why don't you do something that will help solve the problems of rural India? And that is when the alumni of the IITs, they came together and formed Wheels Global Foundation in 2006. And since then, we have come a long way now. So we now have not only IIT alumni, but we also have doctors, lawyers, and other professionals as a part of our family. The objective is to basically engage the IIT system and the alumni networks to drive technology-enabled solutions to solve the problems of rural India. Technology, which is our strength. That is what we were trying to use. We are all volunteers here, and we just try to give as much as we can as a give back to the society and the nation as such. And now, okay, Wheels, actually, I think Ratan also mentioned this. Wheels comes from water, W for water, H for health, then education, energy, livelihood, and sustainability. Basically, all the factors that touch our life. That's how the name has evolved. We are all volunteers. Now we have taken a mission upon us to touch the lives of 20% of a rural community by the year 2030. And we are sure that we will be not only be able to make it, but we will far exceed this, given the work that all of us have committed to. With this, I hand it back to Manali.
Thank you so much, Sujata Di, and a big thanks to Mr. Ratan Agarwal for giving his time from his
Thank you.
busy schedule. And thank you so much to my lovely audience who are with us always. And as we can see, that every time, whenever we do these global events, and we start preparing for the next global event, and very soon we will come up with next global event along with Wheels Global Foundation. And again, that is going to be very interesting for all of you. Thank you so much. Thank you for being with us. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, everybody.